Thank you for being here. Good to see you. That's a great shirt. Hi there. Legalized freedom. Love it.
Kari, James Matthews.
Whoa.
From Sky News.
We got the fake news in full force.
Kari,
Hi.
James Matthews from Sky News.
Hi,
Is
James.
the only election that you will endorse an election that you win?
Is the only what?
The only election that you will endorse an election that you win?
You mean will I accept the results?
If you win, is that the only
I
way you
will
will endorse this election?
I will absolutely accept the results of a fair, honest, and transparent election 100%. Do you have a question, sir? And who are you? Sir, we have a lot of people, and so you only get one question, okay? Ma'am.
Kate Sullivan with CNN. So Katie Hobbs's campaign headquarters was broken into earlier this week, and her campaign manager said in a statement she argued that the incident was a direct result of a concerted campaign of lies and intimidation by you and your allies. Do you have a response to that?
That is absolutely absurd. And are you guys buying that? Are you really buying that? Because this sounds like a Jussie Smollett part 2. So you're going to drag the American people through something like this? Obviously, you don't want to cover the real story today, which we are 11 points up in the polls, and you want to distract the people with an old story. And I can't believe that she would blame my amazing people or blame me for something like that. I don't even know where her campaign office is. I'm assuming it's in a basement somewhere because that's where she's been campaigning. And you guys are despicable for falling into that trap. You drag the American people through so many BS stories like the Jussie Smollett, and you're letting a woman who's been running a terrible campaign direct you to a story like this. You know that she's running a bad campaign. She's being attacked by her own party, and she's desperate. And so she's trying to point the finger at me. It's despicable, and it doesn't shock me, because what we've seen from her is probably the worst campaigning in the history of campaigns. George.
Yes, thank you. Matt, real talk here with you, and we are in the firehouse, as you see.
Yes, we are.
On your first day on the job, can we address the issue of giving them a raise instead of defunding the police and the fire department?
Well, actually, George, that's a great point. And my opponent, Katie Hobbs, actually supports defunding the police.
That's why I asked that.
She supports defunding the police, and maybe if she didn't support defunding the police, this kind of a thing wouldn't have happened to her. We need more brave men and women who are willing to get into law enforcement and become firefighters. And we need candidates who are going to support them, not only when they're campaigning, but when they're in office. And these men and women behind me know that I will support them. That's why we have all of the police unions and the police organizations endorsing our campaign. Thank you for the question, George. I know you love the police. Thank you. Sir, who are you? And sir, I've already talked to you. You're not special.
Isn't election denial the biggest BS story of all?
AFP, the French news agency. For European viewers, would you please explain how you changed your views? You know, more than 10 years ago, you used to support Barack Obama.
Yeah, a lot of people have changed their views.
So did you have an epiphany, and when did it happen?
This is the beauty.
I just want to understand.
First of all, thank you for coming here from France to cover our campaign. We know this is an exciting campaign, and we're happy to have you. A lot of people have changed their views, and 10 million Obama voters voted for President Trump, and that's how we got President Trump. And right now, we're seeing a mass exodus from the Democrat Party. It's such a disastrous party. The policies are destroying cities and states across this country. And we're seeing Democrats not just walk away from the Democrat Party, they're running away with their lives, trying to escape the dead-end, despicable, and destructive policies of the Democrats. And we welcome them to the new Republican Party because we're the party with ideas that work. We have common sense policies to get us out of some of the mess that these politicians have gotten us into over the years. And we're actually going to be able to help Americans and Arizonans fight back against some of these terrible policies that Joe Biden has pushed that are destroying our states and cities across the country. Who are you with? You have a question?
AFP, yeah, I do have a question.
Your name again?
Bastian?
From?
AFP.
AFP, okay.
Yeah, the question about border and immigration, and specifically vaccines. Do you believe that immigrants coming into the US should be required to get vaccinated against COVID-19?
I don't want people coming across our border illegally. Are you talking about people coming illegally?
Specifically for people,
or legal immigrants?
Both people coming into the US, both legally or illegally. Should those people be vaccinated against COVID-19?
I don't want people coming into our country illegally through Arizona, and that's why we have a very strong border policy. We've had 5 million people pour across our border, and we're going to stop people from coming across our border illegally. I believe in legal immigration. I'm 100% for legal immigration, but we can't have the world pouring across our border. We don't know who's coming in, and I also am for medical freedom and medical privacy. Sir.
Hi, Mike Carter with Newsmax. As someone who's worked in the media for decades, you're very familiar and very able to call out fake news when you see it. Is a biased press in this country creating a bigger divide, the illusion of a bigger divide than exists between Democrats and Republicans?
That is a great question. I think it is. I believe that, and I talked about it a little bit tonight, Mike. I talked about it a little bit tonight. I think we're closer together than the press makes us think we are. The American people want a secure border. It doesn't matter if they're Democrat, Republican, Independent. They don't want their children getting their hands on fentanyl. Democrats don't want that. We want to help our people who are living on the street, our chronic street homeless, get better and get off the street so we can have safety and security on our streets. Democrats want that as well. The media is trying to divide us. I walked away from my career because I recognize that. It's all stories trying to scare us, have us living in fear, and dividing us. And it's truly despicable. And I hope that those of you who are working in the fake news will do some very serious soul searching. You are dividing people in this country, and in your home country, wherever you're from, the media is absolutely acting despicably. And we need to improve that. We want true, honest, and a free press.
Do you think election denial?
You've already had a question, sir, and I'm done with you. Ma'am.
Hi, I'm Samantha Joe. I'm with Washington Examiner. I know that you have said that you don't like that the ballots are being counted after Election Day. If elected, would you move to restrict some of that voting, where those votes would be counted after Election Day?
Well, we went from Election Day to Election Week to Election Month to Election Season. The longer you drag out an election, the more you're going to have fraud and problems. So I will work with our legislature. The Constitution requires that the state legislature write our election laws. I'm running for governor. I'm not running for emperor. So I will work with our hardworking legislators to make sure that we close loopholes where cheating and fraud can happen. And we will work to make sure we have the most honest elections in the country, and that every Democrat, Independent, and Republican goes to bed on election night and they have complete 100% faith in our election system. They know it's fair, it's honest, and it's transparent. Do you have a question?
Yes.
Hi.
I'm Mai from NHK Japan. The former president, Mr. Trump, endorsed you, and is his endorsement a boost to your campaign?
Absolutely. President Trump's endorsement is the most powerful endorsement in the history of politics. I'm honored to have his endorsement. President Trump always put our law enforcement, our first responders first. He knew the importance of having safe streets, and I know that the men behind me probably support President Trump as well. Is that right, guys? Absolutely. And the media, unfortunately, in our country, and I don't know how they operated in your country, but the media in our country spent 7 years tearing that man apart. It's really unfortunate. He gave up a lot to be president, and we're really honored to have his endorsement. He's also a friend of mine, and I think he's a great man. Thank you for asking that question. Sir, who are you with?
Oh, sorry, Chase with 12 News.
Hi.
I know you already talked about it, but I just want to say, in regards to the Arizona Democratic Party basically blaming you for what happened with Katie Hobbs, I know you talked about it, but again, are you surprised this happened? But also, do you kind of, I don't want to say condone because they're still investigating, but just your reaction to that whole situation?
My reaction is I'm really I'm saddened that that Hobbs and her camp would try to pin this on us. It's defamatory and it's wrong. And it's so obvious what's happening. Her own party is attacking her. I read somewhere today that the Democrat Party were calling her the worst candidate in the country. They said that Fetterman in Pennsylvania had the courage to debate, but she doesn't. They said she's running the worst campaign they've ever seen in the history of politics. These were Democrats saying that. She's trying to deflect her own abysmal campaign, and the fact that nobody even knows where her campaign office is. The person who broke into it probably didn't even realize it was a campaign office. It's really sad. And the fact that you guys are running with this story, shame on you. We have a wide open border right now with thousands of people pouring across it. Shame on you for covering this story ad nauseum. Shame on you for covering a story when we have fentanyl pouring across, killing our young people, literally killing our young generation. Shame on you for not covering that story.
Kari, why will
And shame on you for not covering the story about what's happening to our children in these schools, where they're being forced an education that's not truly an education, but an indoctrination. There are serious problems happening. We have seniors who don't have enough money. They're watching their retirement savings shrivel up under Joe Biden's inflation. A third of it is gone since he took office. So shame on each and every one of you for covering this bogus story. Next, you already had a question. Anybody who hasn't had a question?
why will Hobbs be Kari?
Well, she's a coward. She's a coward. She's got a terrible record. She knows that I will call her out for being a twice convicted racist. The fake news won't cover that. Fake news won't cover that Katie Hobbs is a twice convicted racist. She's cost the people of this state nearly $3 million because she fired a woman of color who asked why she was making $30,000 less than the other people in the office. She fired her. She also wants to defund our police. In order to get the Planned Parenthood endorsement, she had to denounce the men that are standing behind me, denounce the police. She supported the BLM riots. She's absolutely opposed to border security, and she knows I'm going to call her out on that. Not to mention, she's only shown up for work 19 days out of the last 6 months. How many of you have a job where you can only show up, where you only have to show up for 19 days out of 6 months? And we are paying her salary, and she doesn't show up for work. She's incompetent as a Secretary of State, and she would be absolutely disastrous for Arizona should she be elected. But we know that the people of Arizona will never elect a coward, nor will they elect a convicted, self-admitted racist. Thank you very much for being here.